Coming up on Sports Paws, it was a busy week up at the bank as men's and women's ice hockey were both in action, as well as men's basketball had their home opener.
Hey, don't forget, Andrew, fall sports brought in some major hardware as well.
All that and more.
Coming now on Sports Paws.
Hello, and welcome to a brand new edition of Sports Paws. I'm Andrew Badillo.
And I'm Darnell Ragland, here to give you the ins and outs of the busy week it was in Quinnipiac Bobcat sports. And what a jam-packed week it was, Andrew.
Yes, it was, Darnell. Fall sports are coming to a close, and the field hockey and men's soccer teams are both bringing back some serious hardware in the form of MAAC championships.
You're right, Andrew. And while it was a big week for those teams, men's and women's hockey had a big weekend of their own up at the bank.
Indeed, Darnell. Staying up at the bank, men's basketball opened up their season at Lender Court. However, it was a women's basketball player that made basketball headlines. The women's basketball team went to Louisville last Monday to take on the Cardinals in the second round of the women's preseason NIT. The team fell to the number 5 ranked Cardinals 100-82. They then went down to the University of Tennessee Martin for the consolation game. The big story out of this game was Brittany McQuain joining the Quinnipiac women's basketball 1,000-point club. She achieved the milestone on a layup early against the Skyhawks on Saturday. Despite the milestone for McQuain, the Bobcats fell to the Skyhawks 102-97 in overtime. Boo Abshire was able to pull the game into overtime for the Bobcats, hitting 2 free throws in the final 5 seconds of regulation. However, the Skyhawks were able to win it in overtime. Jasmine Martin was the leading scorer for the Bobcats with 25 points. The Bobcats traveled to Carnesecca Arena Wednesday to take on the St. John's Red Storm.
The men's soccer team looked to start off the MAAC championship tournament strong as they face Iona in the semifinals at Lessing Field in Fairfield, Connecticut. The last time the Bobcats faced Iona was earlier this season when the Bobcats tied Iona to 0-0 in a double overtime. Well, the Bobcats moved on to the MAAC championship game. Men's soccer taking on the Iona Gales in the MAAC semifinals. As the Bobcats get ready, the two teams walk onto the center pitch of the field. Midway in the first half, James Doy kicks it towards the goal where it's headed by Michael Ogden and is kicked towards Ola Ogunjobi. Simon Hine gets a rebound and kicks it to Brandon Straygood, who scores. The Bobcats go up 1-0. Moving on, late with 5 minutes in regulation, the Bobcats in the second half, it's a corner kick for Iona and it's Jordan Scarlett with the header for the goal. Iona ties it up 1-1. As they move on and celebrate. After 2 overtime periods, it's penalty kicks. Bobcats goalie Borja Goita starts off the connecting for a goal, and the Bobcats go up 1-0 in the shootout. After 6 rounds for each team, it's Iona goalie Julian Petrillo who makes his save on Justin Cody. Iona with a chance to win it, and Jordan Scarlett kicks it high over the net, and the Bobcats stay alive. Next chance for QU. Justin Ward gets it by Petrillo. Bobcats now have the lead. Let's take a listen here as it's saved by Ngoita who wins it. As the Bobcats win, the fans run into the field celebrating with the team as Quinnipiac wins and advances to the finals against Monmouth in a final score of 1-1.
After beating Iona Friday night in penalty kicks, the men's soccer team advanced to the MAAC championship as they faced off against co-regular season champions Monmouth. The Hawks got the better of the Bobcats in the regular season, beating them 1-0, but this time it was for the championship. Let's get to the action. Men's soccer taking on the Monmouth Hawks in the MAAC championship game. The two took a 0-0 tie into penalty kicks. Here's Borja and Goita before the game warming up. Once again, it's Angoita, as he did in the Iona game, starting it off for Quinnipiac on the penalty kick. Let's see how he would do, and a nice little chip, faking out the Monmouth goalie there. QU up 1-0. Next up, Monmouth. Thomas Penhold would sail over the crossbar there, and Goita wouldn't have to make the save. Bobcats still up 1-0. Here is Simon Hine. He would bury it for the Bobcats. They are now up 2-0. Monmouth trying to get on the board here. David Camacho, number 29, would shoot, and he would get it past Angoita. So now QU is up 2-1. Co-captain Brandon Stringgood with the fake, and he couldn't put it in off the crossbar. QU still has the lead, however, 2-1. Next QU player up, and he would bury it into the back right corner. Simone Brossier putting it in past Eric Klanowski. Monmouth now up, and Angoita would make the save here. QU would win the penalty kicks 4-3 at making the save on John Egan. Angoita, an incredible year, took home the tournament MVP. The team would move on to the NCAA tournament. Here is Angoita picking up the tournament MVP award from MAAC Commissioner Rich Enser. The team would take one more picture as conference champs, and they're going dancing as they beat the Monmouth Hawks in the championship 0-0, 4-3 in penalty kick.
After the field hockey team defeated Robert Morris in a final score of 1-0 to win the MAAC championship, the Bobcats move on to play in the NCAA tournament play-in game. The Bobcats traveled to play American at Jacobs Field in Washington, D.C. Quinnipiac was defeated by American in a final score of 3-1, and Jess Rusin scored the Bobcats' lone goal. Assists were credited to Krista Romano and Amanda Danziger in the loss. The game was the Bobcats' first NCAA tournament appearance, and the Bobcats finished the season with an overall record of 14-7.
Quinnipiac moved down a spot in the USCHO.com rankings to 6th this week. The move comes after beating the Brown University Bears 3-0 and tying the Yale Bulldogs 3-3 last weekend. Quinnipiac received 2 first-place votes in the poll. Minnesota remained the number 1 ranked team.
The men's ice hockey team looked to continue their unbeaten streak to 11 games as they face 3-3 Harvard. This game is the first time these teams have faced each other this season and marks the 20th time they face each other overall. The Bobcats are 7-9 and 3 in all-time against Harvard, and the last time these teams faced each other last season was when Harvard defeated the Bobcats in the overtime and score of 2-1. Will the Bobcats come up on the winning end at this time at home? Men's ice hockey versus Harvard at High Point Solution Arena. As the Bobcats get ready to play, Michael Gartig and Travis St. Denis stretching before the game. Into the first period, Alex Barron's going to find Tim Clifton behind the net, who gives it to Braden Sherbinen, who slaps the puck straight into the net. Moving on here as they score, Bryce Van Brabant has the puck, and he's going to find the ice as Devon Tays, who takes a long shot but is no good there as Corey Hibbert tips the puck in past Raphael Garrard. Into the second period, Sean Malone with the puck for the Crimson. He gives it to Phil Zolanka and passes it to Kyle Cruciolo, who rips it past Gartig. Harvard cuts the lead deficit 2-1. Into the third, Jordan Samuels-Thomas passes to Connor Jones, who gets to pass a couple defenders and finds Samuels-Thomas up the middle and scores another goal for the Bobcats. Quinnipiac now leads Harvard 3-1. Moving on, Danford with the puck passes to Clay Anderson, who's going to peel away from the defenders and get the puck inside. It's a battle ultimately as Jimmy Vesey tips the puck in for Crimson. Trailing now 3-2, Vesey takes a long shot and the puck bounces off the Bobcats defender and goes to the Crimson player inside, fighting to tie the game. As they tying it, the referees review it and they say it's no good, as the Bobcats will hold on to the Crimson down for the final 25 seconds to earn a 3-2 victory. Here's Rand Pecknell.
That's the worst game we've played this year, and I think Harvard deserved to win the game. Gartsy was really good and made some saves for us, and Devon Tays was great. Logged a lot of minutes to cover for some of the D that were struggling, and probably the other biggest player for us tonight was Corey Hibbler, who's our captain and a center for us, and we moved him back to play defense. He logged a lot of minutes on D tonight just because our D corps just really struggled.
When we come back here on Sports Paws, it was a packed week of hockey as the men's team looked to build off their 3-2 win against Harvard, taking on the Big Green of Dartmouth, and the women's hockey team would battle the Boston College Eagles. We'll be right back.
The Bobcat Shop, located at 1010 Sherman Avenue in Hamden. Your #1 choice for Bobcat merchandise. The Bobcat Shop features 2 floors of countless styles and colors. With a full 19,000 square foot screen printing and embroidery operation on the premises, Campus Customs and Simplify can design and decorate any garment or promotional product as quickly as needed. Stop in and say hi.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken with cheese for just over $4, giant cheesesteak subs, and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
After defeating Harvard 3-2 Friday night, the men's ice hockey team looks to continue their winning ways as they take on the Dartmouth College Big Green. With Dartmouth's loss to Princeton Friday night, the Big Green have fallen to 0-5 in the ECAC. Let's see how the Bobcats fared. Men's hockey taking on Dartmouth Big Green from High Point Solutions Arena. Early in the first period, Corey Hibbler's pass would deflect off a Dartmouth player. Bryce Van Braben, however, would pick it up and put it past goalie Cab Morris there. Bobcats up 1-0. Big Green with the chance here, Jack Barry, but Michael Gartig would swallow up that chance. Sam Annis now skating down the ice for the Bobcats. Pass it to Matt Lemire, but Morris would make the kick save there. Now to the second period, Corey Hibbler skating over the blue line, and he would fire it past Morris there. Bobcats up 2-0. They would be too much for the Big Green in this game. Third period, Bobcats with a few chances here. Derek Smith with the slap shot off the mark. However, Matt Lemire's deflected shot would come to St. Denis there, but he would fire it over the net. It wouldn't matter. Michael Gartig, another solid game in net. Bobcats win 3-1. Alex Barron with 3 assists. Here's Rand Pecknold and Corey Hibbler after the game.
Corey Hibbler was probably our best player tonight. I thought he had, probably about 6 blocks that really, I think, affected that individual play and got us pumped up a little bit. We were a little flat. We're sick and struggling a little bit with some sickness going through the team, and didn't have great legs all weekend. Again, you can't use that as an excuse. We need to be better, but we'll take our points and move on.
And we're just trying to go to the net and keep things simple, put pucks on net, and we were lucky enough to put up a few tonight.
Another weekend at High Point Solutions Arena is complete as Quinnipiac earned a 3-2 victory over Harvard and a 3-1 win against Dartmouth. With the 2 wins, the Bobcats remain in first place in the ECAC with an 11-1-1 overall record and a 5-0-1 mark in ECAC play. There were several positive things that the Bobcats took out of this weekend's games, but there are also certain things that the team still needs to continue to work on heading into this week's practices. Let's begin on the offensive end. Jordan Samuels-Thomas and Corey Hibbler each scored 2 goals on the weekend, so they are starting to really show up as units, but several of their teammates were very quiet against both Harvard and Dartmouth. The Jones twins, Matthew Pekka, and the leading goal scorer on the team, Sam Annis, had a combined 0 points. So if Quinnipiac is going to continue to succeed in the ECAC, they need a lot more contribution from those 4 players in particular. Head coach Rand Pecknold called the team's win over Harvard as their worst game of the season. It did get better in their match with the Big Green of Dartmouth, but the team was still very sloppy in both games on the offensive and defensive ends. On the offensive end, when your team goes into a power play, that should give you the advantage. Well, the Bobcats have not taken that advantage over the last 5 games. As the game reached the second period against Dartmouth, the Bobcats failed to score a single goal over the last 18 power play opportunities, until Jordan Samuels-Thomas finally broke that streak with his goal. Now, up next for Quinnipiac is a home-and-home weekend series against the Tigers of Princeton University. Now, the Tigers are going to come into this series with a 2-7 record, defeating only 1 ECAC team so far, and that was Dartmouth, who are still winless on the season. The Bobcats cannot look past these 2 games because they faced this issue last season of looking past poor opponents and then it came out on the losing end. They just need to continue what they have been doing all season long, finding those ways to win each of their games. If they do that, they will continue to shine in the ECAC. Back to you guys.
Thanks a lot, Tom. The women's ice hockey team remained steady this week in the USCHO.com poll. For the second straight week, QU is ranked 7th after a 3-1 win against Brown University Bears and a 0-0 tie against the Yale Bulldogs. Minnesota holds the top spot as they received all 15 first-place votes.
The women's ice hockey team looked to move on from a 0-0 tie at Yale, as well as they improved their home record to 3-0-1. They took on number 1 ranked team Boston College on Friday afternoon. The Bobcats beaten a top 5 team twice. Will they be able to beat their third? 7th-ranked women's ice hockey team taking on 5th-ranked Boston College Eagles on Friday. This is a 22nd meeting into the first period. BC puts the puck on net and there's a scramble for the rebound. And Megan Mandy shoots and shoots again. Shots deflected for a goal by Kristen Capizano, and BC goes up 1-0. Moving on, Megan Turner in the second period brings the puck up, and Kelly Babstock takes it and passes it to Cheyenne Darkangelo, who takes it, the puck, and wraps it behind and scores 5-hole and ties the game 1-1. Later on in the period, Quinnipiac on the power play. They bring the puck into the zone. Kristen Tamberg receives the pass, puts it on net. The rebound comes to Amanda Collins, who controls the puck and puts it in an empty corner, putting the Bobcats up 2-1. Into the third period, about 8 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. BC already has a delayed penalty waiting, and Sydney Roser checks it as a BC player onto the boards. She earns herself a 4-minute double minor penalty. Very next sequence, BC with some very nice puck control, almost identical to Quinnipiac. Emily Fassler takes a shot from the point, and the puck ends up on the stick of Andy Agnostis, who scores exactly how Collins did. BC ties 2-2. Last minutes of the game, Roser takes a shot in. Babstock plays the puck off the board and sends it as Cheyenne Darkangelo tips the puck into the net for a second and Quinnipiac's third goal. The Bobcats defeat Boston College in the final score of 3-2.
After stunning 5th-ranked Boston College with a late game-winning goal, Cheyenne Darkangelo and the Bobcats look to carry the momentum of their 3-2 victory over the Eagles into their next game against New Hampshire. Let's see how this one played out. Women's hockey facing off the UNH Wildcats. Early in the first period, Hannah Armstrong here would pass the puck to Jessica Hitchcock. Chelsea Layton would make the save, however, no damage done there. Later on in the first period, Hitchcock coming down the wing again, fires, but Layton makes a great save coming out of her goal there. Game remains 0-0. We're still in the first period. Quinnipiac's own Nicole Connery would skate down, fire a shot. Ashley Wiltz would make the save for UNH, no damage done there. With a couple minutes left in the first period, however, UNH would be on the attack, and Ariel O'Neill would find a hole through Layton there, scores, giving the Wildcats the 1-0 lead. Quinnipiac would come back in the second period with a chance here. Taryn Bumgart has a long-distance wrist shot that Wilkes makes the save here, and the rebound comes to Nicole Brown for the slap shot, but she would make another save in Ashley Wilkes would. Still in the second period, O'Neill would fall down in her own zone. The puck would come to Babstock here, and she would finish off the rebound for the goal. Game tied. Third period now. Morgan Fitzward picks up the loose puck at center ice and puts it through Wilkes there, giving the Bobcats the 2-1 lead. They would not relinquish that lead as they beat the Wildcats. Here is what coach Rick Seeley and goalie Chelsea Layton had to say after the victory.
Well, I would have said we were really ready before the game, but in retrospect, I think we might have thought too much of our win last night. I don't think we played this with the same intensity and focused on little details today.
Yeah, definitely weak goal, heavy on the week. But, I just tried to forget about it. Didn't have many shots after, so that kind of helped as well. But our team came up clutch, and we ended up with the win anyways.
When we come back, men's basketball looks to improve the record to a 2-1 as they face Albany, and we'll take a look to see how the volleyball team fared in this weekend, and much more, so don't go away.
The Bobcat Shop, located at 1010 Sherman Avenue in Hamden. Your #1 choice for Bobcat merchandise. The Bobcat Shop features 2 floors of countless styles and colors. With a full 19,000 square foot screen printing and embroidery operation on the premises, Campus Customs and Simplify can design and decorate any garment or promotional product as quickly as needed. Stop in and say hi.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken with cheese for just over $4, giant cheesesteak subs, and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Qcash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
The men's basketball team looked to bounce back from a 70-69 loss at LaSalle in ESPN's tip-off marathon to look to improve their record to 2-1 as they take on Albany at Linder Court in the TD Bank Sports Center. The Bobcats' all-time record against Albany is a commanding 7-2, and the last time these teams faced was last season at Albany, where the Bobcats defeated Albany in a final score of 59-57. Will the Bobcats be able to continue their winning ways against Albany? Men's basketball versus Albany at Linder Court. The Bobcats entered the game 1-1, looking to win their first home game of the season. Early, the Bobcats start off slow. Umar Shannon attempts to pass to Shaq Shannon, but Peter Hooley steals the ball and passes it to DJ Evans, who lays it up. Albany leads the Bobcats 6-0. Soon after, Hooley passes it to Sam Rowley in the post as he backs down AJ Summery and scores. Albany goes up 11-0. As they take a timeout, later on, Kasim Chandler goes on a fast break and dishes to Ike Azetan for the nasty dunk. All Bobcats trail 13-7 as Kasim Chandler goes for the and-one layup. Moving on, the Bobcats have good ball movement as Umar Shannon shoots the three. He would not stop there, and it was good. And later seconds in the first half, Umar Shannon with the step-back three, and it's good as he nails it going into halftime. As the Bobcats go in, second half, Ike Azetan passes it to Usman Drame, who shoots a jumper and scores. Bobcats go up 43-37. And Shaq Shannon misses a three as Usman Drame gets the rebound, goes with the basketball up and under, and he scores again. What a game for Usman Drame as he had 18 points and 10 rebounds with a double-double as he scores here with the layup and one. The Bobcats scoring was too much for Albany as they defeat Albany in a final score of 79-69. Here's head coach Tom Moore.
You know, I'm really proud that we battled back after the way we opened the game. I think Albany obviously was crisp to start the game, really decisive in the way they ran their offense, and we were flat-footed and a step behind. They made they passed the ball really well early. And the thing I liked, we had a pretty good calmness and poise about us.
The Quinnipiac Bobcats did a lot of things right in their 79-69 win over the Great Danes of Albany on Saturday. However, defensively, they weren't always there. Now, Quinnipiac almost always plays the man-to-man. You'll rarely see them play the zone. However, when you do play man, you need to be conscious of defensive rotation, something the Bobcats were not on Saturday. What am I talking about? Let me show you. Let's set the scene here. We have Gary Johnson with the ball for the Great Danes. He's covered man by Zaid Hurst. His options, he's got Sam Rowley over here, who's covered by Usman Drame, and he's got John Puck, the 6'10" center from Waterloo, Iowa, covered by Ike Azetan. Two options near him. What's going to end up happening? Johnson's going to move towards the center of the perimeter, and he's going to get some help. And the Bobcats get a little lost in transition. Let me show you what I mean. So here comes Johnson. He moves off the pick. Now, immediately, the separation has been created. Johnson is over here. Usman Drame, who's supposed to be on Rowley, is over here, and Hurst has his man. Now, what's supposed to happen is Hurst is supposed to come this way and pick up this man, so Ike Azetam here only has to focus on Puck. But that doesn't happen. Now Ike Azetam has to play a guessing game and say, who's going to get the ball, Puck or Rowley? And guess what's going to happen? He is going to guess wrong. John Puck gets the ball and slams it home for an easy 2 points. But this wasn't the first time that this would happen to Quinnipiac. In fact, it happened just a few minutes later. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Here's DJ Evans right here. He's coming off a 20-point performance against NJIT. He's obviously a threat. Kasim Chandler, the freshman, is on top of him. Levon Shangelia is right here. Usman Drame once again covering him. And Ike Azetam is defending against Luke Devlin. So what's going to end up happening is Shangelia is going to set a pick for Evans as he rolls this way. And Kasim Chandler is going to get lost in translation. Let's take a look. So you see Evans moves off the pick, and already there's issues for Quinnipiac. So right here, Luke Devlin is over on the side, just like Puck was.
Shangelia is over here. Kasim Chandler was supposed to pick him off the pick, but he's right here. Leaving Usman Drame at the top of the perimeter where Evans has the ball, and Ike Azatam has to cover two guys. Can't cover two people in basketball, and take a guess what's going to end up happening. Luke Devlin's going to get the ball and lays it in nice and easy. Now, the MAAC is a guard-heavy league, so they need to ensure that as they head down the stretch, they don't get deceived by some of the league's best ball handlers. Jon Alba, Q30 Sports.
Women's volleyball hit the road this weekend as they traveled to upstate New York for their final two games of the season against Canisius and Niagara. The Bobcats lost 3-1 against the Canisius Golden Griffins. The Bobcats were able to force a fourth set, winning the third one, 26-24. However, they eventually fell in the fourth set Sunday. The Bobcats were swept 3-0 against Niagara, the Niagara Purple Eagles. The Bobcats finished their season 5-26 overall with a 3-15 record in MAAC play. Despite the record, the Bobcats have many talented freshmen returning next season, one being middle hitter Allison Lee. Lee led the MAAC with 136 blocks in her first season. If you're a fan of headwear and Quinnipiac volleyball, then you have to meet John Payne.
What do you mean you're just a fan of headwear because a guy loves his hats? Payne can be seen sporting some interesting headpieces while cheering on the women's volleyball team at Burt Concourt.
Payne is indeed one of a kind, as he has been going to Quinnipiac home volleyball games for years now and has become well known by players and fans alike. Q30 Sports' very own Colin Babcock has more on the story.
At Quinnipiac University, there's only one place on campus where students can come read a sports story or watch a college volleyball game at the same time, and that's at the Burt Con basketball court. It's famous for its scenic walkthrough, with all the Hall of Fame awards and photos on the walls. But it's also famous for its #1 true fan, John Payne, and his famous hats.
The hat thing started when Taylor was in club. I guess she was about a sophomore in high school, and it was my birthday. And somebody gave me a birthday hat with the candles on it. I started wearing it, and at that moment, it was like an exercise in human nature, because some people talk to you, some people are afraid of you, they don't really know what to do. I mean, one thing led to another, and now I probably, for home games, bring about 200 hats with me. It's just good fun. That's really all it is.
I've seen crazy people, but not in a positive way. So, no, I mean, John, he's amazing. What he brings to the gym and to the team. So
my wife said, "What are you going to do with all these hats?" And I said, "Well, they're my hats." At that time, I had about 300 baseball hats. She said, "Do you wear them?" I said, "No, but they're my hats." So I had to negotiate to try to keep some of them.
One of the parents, it started out as a dare, and they were like, "I bet you won't wear it all day." And he was like, "Come on," like, "Of course I will." So it started out with one, and it's just multiplied, and I love it. I mean, I don't really have control over him at all anymore, as far as it's become its own entity, so.
Whether a game's at the Burt Con court or on the road, John Payne attends every Quinnipiac University volleyball game. While enthusiastically cheering for the Bobcats, John stands by the doors so he can welcome every fan. And when a fan of an opposing team disrupts one of John's chants, he has no problem going up to tell them what he does and why he does it.
I walked up to him and I said, "Listen, my daughter played here for 4 years. 120 matches, I went to 119. We only won 16 times. And I never quit cheering." And I looked at his daughter. I said, "Because I'd never quit on a kid. I'd never quit on any kid."
Yeah, he's quite, he's dedicated to the program. Everybody appreciates it, and the girls love it. Everybody in the stands love it too. So any game that he can make it to, he's been to away games as well. So any game that he can make it to, we appreciate it more than he knows.
It definitely means a lot to me that he's still, around. It's nice for me to be able to see my parents all the time. I live 2 hours away, so I can't see them every day.
I always think that if you have the opportunity, if your son or daughter wants you to be there, if you can, you got to make it happen. You got to do whatever you can to make it happen. So that's why I'm here, and she enjoys it, and she likes having us around.
From Quinnipiac University, I'm Colin Babcock, Q30 Sports.
This past Saturday, the rugby team traveled to Army's campus at Anderson Rugby's complex in West Point, New York to play Boston University in the ACRA National Tournament Sweet 16. The Bobcats defeated Boston University in a final score of 59-15. Natalie Costco led the Bobcats to their 7th consecutive win with the 55 points and 2 assists. And the Bobcats then played Navy in the ACRA National Tournament quarterfinals at Army's campus and were defeated in a final score of 28-5. Natalie Costco scored the only point for the Bobcats, and the Bobcats season ended with an overall record of 10-3.
Phew, that was a lot of sports.
I know, Andrew, what a crazy week it's been.
I can't believe how many games there were this weekend, Darnell.
And how about Boran Goita's weekend?
Wait. Oh, yeah, he made 2 penalty kicks and made the saves that won the men's soccer team the MAAC championship.
You were scaring me there for a second. He was in your highlight.
I know, it was just such a busy weekend. Sometimes I can't remember it all.
Well, if you may have forgotten something like Andrew just did, make sure you follow us on Twitter at Q30Sports for more information.
Also, be sure to like us on Facebook and visit our YouTube page at youtube.com/user/Q30TV.
I'm Darnell Ragland.
And I'm Andrew Badillo. We'll see you next time here on Sports Paws.